Last time on Tiger Country, I visited Kanha National Park, the land of the Jungle Book, and brought you face to face with one of the most secretive felines in the world, the Indian leopard. This time, I'm teaming up with Pugdundee Safaris yet again and taking you through one of India's most crucial forests. I'm not exaggerating when I say this land is straight out of a fairy tale. With Barasingha, wild dogs, tigers, black buck, several species of birds, and more, this episode is going to feature a medley of wildlife. My most cherished sighting is an animal that inspired Mowgli's best friend, Baloo. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kenneth Lawrence and this is episode 2 of Tiger Country, a wildlife photography series happening entirely in Madhya Pradesh. In this episode, we'll explore the enchanting forests of Kanha National Park and come back with more memories that we could have ever imagined. Before we begin the episode, special thanks to one of India's leading responsible safari companies, Pugdundee Safaris, for co-producing this series and hosting me at Kanha Earth Lodge, a luxury safari resort tucked away in a small tribal hamlet. This tranquil bungalow will be my home and office for the entirety of my stay in Kanha. Surrounded by untouched wilderness for miles on end, this is an ideal paradise for nature trails, birding, and a lot more. With charming aesthetics, modern amenities, and breathtaking experiences, Kanha Earth Lodge is the perfect safari getaway. Driving through the misty wilderness always reminds me of the Jurassic Park film from '93. My favorite moment is when Sam Neill says, "Life finds a way," after he realizes that the dinosaurs were breeding. We spent the last 7 days in Kanha National Park and we did about 9 safaris. This week we're in Kanha, we're doing 9 safaris again, and we hope to get the same amount of tigers like we did the last time. We've just reached the grasslands and there is some gorgeous light brushing against all of the vegetation. With the monsoons finally over, we got an improved quality of light illuminating the green carpeted forest. Kanha's vegetation largely comprises of 100-foot tall sal trees, bamboo forests, and grasslands. Barasingha flock to the meadows to feast on the fresh grass glazed by the morning dew. This lot is a group of bachelors. Their grazing kicks up insects along their way. Birds take advantage of this opportunity and ride the deer to snack on the displaced critters, whilst expending the least amount of energy. A myna returns to one of the stags with a freshly caught caterpillar. The bird tries to immobilize its prey before swallowing it, but the deer's fur is too soft to kill the caterpillar. A rigid surface like a tree branch or a rock would be ideal to do so. Disturbed by the commotion, the deer turns around to inspect what's going on. Barasingha once ranged across most of the Indian peninsula. Today, their distribution is negligible. Kanha is home to the southern subspecies, also called the hard-ground swamp deer. In the 1960s, their numbers plummeted to less than 70 individuals due to habitat loss, hunting, and disease. With the introduction of breeding programs and other conservation efforts of the forest officials consistently for the last 5 decades, the population of the southern subspecies of Barasingha has risen to approximately 800. They were brought back from the verge of extinction. A herd of spotted deer graze nearby. One of the boys is more interested in courtship than eating. He chases after a doe for several minutes, even running about in circles. His heart may be set on her, but he's not quite the gentleman. All she would have liked to do now was graze. They eventually ran towards us. The doe was exhausted and she gave up running. And after all of it, she went one way and he went another. Dholes or Asiatic wild dogs are another spectacle living freely in Kanha. Social and highly coordinated, dholes use multiple distinctive calls to communicate within the clan. They're less territorial than wolves and don't display any dominance or hierarchy. This renders them a very playful and affectionate beast. The population of mature individuals remaining globally could be less than 2,500. Historically, dholes inhabited numerous countries from Russia to South Korea. They were also found across the length and breadth of India. But due to systematic killing by humans to protect their livestock, these wild dogs faced a decline of 80%. After a little while of lazing it out, the Dholes got together as if on a mission. They were strategizing their next hunt.
Now these guys have walked on towards the water. We've taken a slight dip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. 8 of them. And they've disappeared into the meadows.
We let them be and stopped for a meal of our own. Beside us was this young termite mound, and the blind inhabitants have visitors. These are weaver ants. They have an incredibly voracious appetite and are most likely invading the colonies within in their search for food. In the evening, we did a bit of hiking in the wilderness. We reached a secluded hilltop and enjoyed some stunning views of the forest. A personal shout out to Kanha Earth Lodge for organizing another wonderful experience for us. There's a slight nip in the air. You can begin to feel the onset of winter. With lush greens in sight and chilly breeze at the touch, there's no combination I love more. When first light hits the jungle, magic happens. Two spotted deer partake in a mock fight. The rest of the forest slowly begins to awaken. Female giant wood spiders wait patiently in their webs for unsuspecting insects to fly by. There are other giants here. This termite mound towers over 7 feet. We found tiger pug marks on the side of the road. Day 2 was starting off great as well. Alarm calls coming from the distant trees helped us point our cameras exactly where the cat was. We found our first tiger in Kanha, walking through the meadows. At over half a kilometer away, it was impossible to get a usable shot. The only way to photograph her was to drive to the opposite side of the meadows where the other vehicles were. With every passing second, we could lose the opportunity of seeing the cat. We finally crossed over and closed the gap just in time. The tiger was now coming towards us. A gorgeous female whose coat radiated in the morning sun. after a brief stroll through the grassland, she was swallowed by the forest. Deer have to be on constant alert when a tiger is on the move.
So this is our third safari in Kanha National Park. So far, covering Pench and Kanha, we've got 2 big cats. We've got a lot of deer. Part of Aditya and myself wants to see the Sloth Bear, but we both know that walking on Pluto is easier than sighting a Sloth Bear in these forests. But fingers crossed, and we'll try to make the impossible possible.
These are red jungle fowl, and they are the direct ancestors of the domestic chicken. Genome sequencing suggests that the domestication happened about 8,000 years ago. Gaur thrive in these forests. We spent a good amount of time with them because there were no sign of big cats or bears. Golden jackals were our last sighting of the day. Barasingha were in the meadows again. Though we filmed and photographed them already, this was an opportunity to create a different perspective. With the stags sitting in a row and a prominent foreground in between us, only their antlers were visible. You don't always have to capture your entire subject. Even subtle glimpses of them can make aesthetic and artistic visuals. This changeable hawk eagle is one of my favorite raptors. And here's a photograph of the first individual I photographed in Kabini in 2019. They're absolutely stunning birds of prey. Their range is extensive and they're found much across the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia. I have a knack for stopping for subjects that I've already documented because there's always something new going on. And you just have to keep an eye out for it. These spotted deer have gathered together at a mud patch rich in salts and minerals. Licking the soil helps them consume essential elements like sodium, phosphorus, calcium, zinc, and more. Their bones, muscles, and other growth depend on it. After the morning safari, we headed back to Kanha Earth Lodge. We set our camera batteries to charge and we indulged in the library where you can read up about known species as well as those you never knew existed. For our evening safari, there were a bunch of surprises awaiting us, and they would eventually become the highlight of our time in Kanha. The best sightings happen when you least expect them. We found a sloth bear going about its business without a care in the world. Although depicted differently in the Jungle Book movies, this is the endemic species that inspired the world-famous character of Baloo. Sloth bears predominantly eat termites and ants. but they also have a sweet tooth, making them irresistible to fruits and honey. Looking at this photograph, you can see how human-like the soles of their hind feet are. Habitat loss, poaching for body parts, and in capturing cubs to raise and used in circuses have classified the sloth bear as a threatened species. We had less than 3 minutes with this male, and he was an absolute joy to spend time with and capture on camera. Further down the dirt road, we saw our second tiger in Kanha. He's a subadult male named Bahadur. He's soon going to become an independent adult and will one day claim his own territory, even if it means challenging the very siblings he grew up with.
This morning's safari was very dry in terms of tigers, and to be honest, the evening was also beginning to feel the same way. But then things changed because the Kanha zone here opened up. As we were driving, we saw one sloth bear on the road. It wasn't shy like they always are, and this guy stayed there for about 2 or 3 minutes, going back and forth, going down the road. Adi got some video, I got some stills. We went further down, there was another sloth bear, but that guy was there for a couple of seconds and then he went into the bush. And to be honest, we had no hope of seeing sloth bears at all, but within a span of 5 minutes, we saw 2 of them. We drove further down. This was the most incredible experience because there were no alarm calls, there were no signs that there was a tiger, but on the road, in the center, was one of the biggest tigers that I have seen. Adi got video again. I sat off to the edge of the jeep, which is this railing right here, and I got stills. I used the 800mm to try and get some portrait shots, and Adi got slow motion video. If at all we had sightings, it's all thanks to our naturalist and also the lodge manager, that champion right over there, Harpreet, aka Happy.
Happy made us happy.
Happy made us very, very happy.
It's our 6th and 7th safari. The day would become equally as extraordinary as the previous one. Our sightings began with an elusive barking deer. They're one of the oldest deer species, with their ancestors emerging as early as 35 million years ago. The barking deer could quite possibly be Kanha's oldest mammal that is still alive today. Whilst we assume deer to be strict herbivores, they've been documented getting their protein from ground-dwelling bird eggs and chicks. We saw our third tiger. This male was strolling through the woods, patrolling it and marking his territory. This ensures that no rival males overlap it. Females in estrus may enter his territory for mating. In the evening, we found an alert spotted deer. You can hear the langur alarm calls in the background. And here is the reason why. This gorgeous tiger's name is Naina. She's the mother of the subadult tiger we saw yesterday. we switch to a wider focal length to showcase how a large tiger can be dwarfed by such an enormous forest. Naina scent marked the trees as she walked forward.
It's our second last safari in Kanha, and there is a tigress in front of us. She is absolutely gorgeous. Her name is Naina. She walked from the road and now she is in very thick grass, and it's hard to spot her because the grass is over 2 times taller than she is. Adi's got the 50mm. He's doing video, he's trying to get some wide shots. And I've got my 200, 400. I'm sitting in the bottom of the gypsy and I'm trying to get eye level. The previous tiger that I photographed was slightly topish because I was shooting from that railing. That one there, or that one here, and that's way too topish. Oh, my camera is just firing off on its own. We can't find her because she's sitting somewhere in this grass.
Tigers prefer walking on the open dirt road because it can be very convenient to patrol their territory. She stopped midway. There was something getting her attention. Another tiger's marking fluid is fused to the mud, and Naina seems to be quite entranced by it. We kept on reversing and she kept coming our way. When she found the strongest point that the scent was emanating from, she surrendered her walk and began to smell and lick the forest floor. The Jacobson organ at the roof of her mouth can help her identify the other tiger's age, gender, and reproductive status. With her subadult cubs old enough to leave home and fend for themselves, my humble assumption is that Naina was most likely approaching estrus and may be ready to mate again. Modifying the safari car and shooting from the bottom helped us achieve eye-level shots. This was prime tiger sighting that one could only dream of. she marked her territory a few more times before vanishing into the jungle. On our way back, we saw a lone black buck. They were locally extinct in Kanha until 2017, when 27 individuals were reintroduced. It was our final safari in Kanha. Movement in the plains caught my attention. Golden jackals were walking through. The shimmering morning dew and backlighting made for a unique visual setting.
This is our last safari in Kanha National Park, and if you count Pench and Kanha, this is the 17th safari we've done. And we're going to spend our time chasing a tiger called Neelam. And if we get her, it's going to be so fantastic because Neelam is Naina's sister.
There were faint alarm calls coming from the far distance. Harpreet and the guide tried to pinpoint its origin. If we find Neelam, she'll be our 5th tiger in Kanha. We tried our best, but weren't able to track her. Many of our planet species have borne the direct and indirect brunt of human activities. But as long as we become more conscious and considerate of our actions, we can undo some of that damage we've caused and significantly reduce the existing impact on our wildlife. When we work together, we have the power to not only save a life, but to save an entire species from extinction. Protecting a flagship species like the Bengal tiger also safeguards several other species that are crucial to maintain an ecological equilibrium. In this instance, tigers act as the umbrella species, providing direct refuge to coexisting species like the sloth bear, Barasingha, Asiatic wild dogs, and so on for a long time to come. Wildlife lodges are becoming increasingly conscious and are attempting to promote wildlife conservation through every aspect of their operation. It's always a pleasure to work with such like-minded, responsible names which are silently contributing in their own capacity to preserve wilderness havens. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. I'll see you in episode 3.